Welcome to another episode of Frugal Finance. Today we're going to be looking at how to find and source below market deals. So we've got 3 or 4 properties that we're going to visit today, which are ripe for potential under market value and potential development. So with that said, if you could smash the like button just down below here, if you could subscribe to the channel, feel free to comment if you've got anything to say at all upon this little video here. And without further ado, let's get stuck into the video. Right, let's go and have a look at this. Time to get masked up. So property number 1 is a bungalow, which is in a local village to me. The previous owners, or the current owners actually, have gone into care, so the family are looking to try and sell the property and obviously realise the cash probably for care and so on. But as you'll see, the property itself is needing a full refurbishment. One of the main issues that it's got in terms of ongoing cost is the heating system is actually oil fired, so it's not on the main gas, but you can get some pretty cheap electric alternatives nowadays, so that's definitely something that I'll be looking at with the refurbishment cost. But a lovely property nonetheless, a little close to a fairly medium busy road, which you can hear from the garden, but nonetheless a substantial property which needs some refurbishment and offers potential. So property number 2 that we visited was this particular townhouse, which is End Terrace. Now it's a bit of an unusual one. I couldn't take any photos of the inside just because it'd been newly refurbished and there were people in there. But basically what's happened is a developer has converted it into a HMO ready 5-bed property, but unfortunately he's having some personal problems and they were now needing to sell the property. It doesn't have a HMO license on it, so that is something that would need to be investigated, and again I'll have to take that into account with the figures. But yeah, completely newly refurbished, to all sense and purposes ready to be a HMO, and obviously a motivated seller because they just want to get their cash back out of the deal. So that's an interesting proposition. Obviously you could get the license on it or you could rent it as a normal house, so it's got a couple of options to it. So it'll be interesting to see how the figures work out. I'm intrigued by this property, so hopefully we can do something. Let's get on to the next one. So the third property was actually a bungalow in another town. It's only the next town along from where I live. It was absolutely pouring down with rain at the time, so please excuse the photograph from the car. And again, this was one where the agents had made a particularly good effort of actually doing anti-pandemic style measures, so rather difficult to take photographs of the inside, but I'll try and put some snaps up. If not, you can check this out on Rightmove yourself. So yeah, basically this is another property where the owner has gone into care or passed away, I believe, in this one, and the family are in receipt of the property and probate is sorted, but they're now just looking to sell the property and release the equity or the cash. Needs full refurbishment throughout, and it's been extended a bit at the back. It's a bit of a funny property because the courtyard at the back that they've created because of the extension means that there is not a lot of outside space. There are 2 front gardens down the side and at the front, but in my experience front gardens are next to useless in terms of people actually utilising them and they being a useful space. Obviously they make the property look pretty, but in terms of going out there and sitting on a chair or something, or having a barbecue, you are rather exposed at the front of the property, so traditionally people probably don't see them as that amenable of space. So that's that property. Then from there we went on to the next property. So, unfortunately, this particular property was actually sold before I arrived at the place. It was the same agent as the previous bungalow, and they informed me when I arrived that it was already under offer and been removed from the market, which is a bit of a shame, really, because this was actually one of the ones I was really interested in seeing. What this is it's a sort of house that had been kind of tinkered with over the years, want for a better description, right on a main road. It probably was a shop at some point, and then it's been converted into flats upstairs, and then a shop front, and then later on the shop front's been converted into the entrance for the house. Um, Reasonable size back garden. So it's denoted on this aerial photograph here as the basically the red plot of land. Obviously, that's not quite to scale, but essentially that was what was for sale, and it was actually going quite cheap because it was in quite poor condition and a bit of a funny layout. But interestingly, the plot of land, or the hard standing at the back of it, was owned under a separate title deed, and that was going for sale as well. So together these were 269 for the red bit of land, and then 100 for the yellow bit of land. Now, obviously, access to the rear of the property is going to be pretty key if you're going to do any conversion or any future development for it. My idea really was to sort of maybe convert this into two flats or refurbish the house and rent it out long term, with a view of potentially buying the bungalow that was highlighted in the blue section here. So then you end up with quite a substantial plot of land with a ready-made T-junction from this road that's just off of the main road here. But it is what it is. Obviously, somebody else got in there very quickly and dealt with the transaction. That's what happens, unfortunately. That is obviously an extremely good deal and loads of potential, and it's going to attract people left, right, and centre. So that is what it is. You just have to get in there first. I understand actually it did sit on the market for some time at a higher price. I don't check Rightmove massively, so that's probably why I've missed it. But it's a bit of an unusual proposition for a standard estate agent as well. So yeah, unfortunately that one was gone. So hopefully that gives you a bit of insight into the style of property that I'm looking for. Obviously these particular ones have actually come through Rightmove, which isn't a particular area that is regarded as the best area in order for you to pick up below market deals, but at the moment you have to use all avenues. So really, to give a bit of a breakdown to my decision making process, so over here you've got a kind of I've done a sort of calculation on each particular property. So obviously what I've looked at is the potential purchase cost, so what I might be able to get the property for, give or take obviously, and then what the refurbishment costs are, and what the resale value might be, or remortgage value, and then what the rent is. So if you, for example, take the first property, which was the bungalow, with all the photographs, that really only works for me if we were to say move into the property and do it up. The rental values are not that great, but there is potential for quite a big profit, potentially for very little outgoings in terms of turning that around and refurbishing that. There's a lot of potential there. Obviously the downside is it's nearish to a road, so in terms of selling it on, it may be capped at a certain value. And then moving on to the property that's sort of half converted into a HMO, obviously potential for HMO. It's at the top end of what I believe that property is worth, so you would need to get it at a reasonable discount in order to guarantee, because there's no guarantee you'll get the HMO licence. There are a number of issues with that property. The particular area is developed by a housing association, or like Bovis Homes or something like that, and they have various clauses on the communal areas and the way you the front of your property must look, and they may not allow a licence for HMO, and also the council may feel the same as well and not want to issue that licence. So obviously you've got those things to consider, and as a house in its own right, renting out as a 5-bed house, it doesn't really command much more than say a 4-bed house. So actually when you take that into consideration,
the exit strategy or alternative strategy is not as great as, say, the HMO route. HMO obviously is something I would like to explore, but I've got this kind of mixed opinion about whether it's good or not, and I'll probably do a video on that, the pros and cons of HMOs. And then finally, the bungalow, which is in need of refurbishment. That's not a bad buy, but I do think there's probably not enough scope for the price reduction. I believe they've had some offers around the asking price. Once you've done it up and the rest of it, I think you might clear, say, £10,000 off of it, which is a chunk of money. That's fine, but obviously you've got to remember there's market fluctuations potentially on the horizon, so to have it that close to profit, because £10,000 on, so say if you purchase it for 300,000 and then you add 70 grand's worth of value to it, but that costs you 30 grand to do that, you get a market fluctuation, you could wipe out that profit. So there isn't really enough meat in the game. And then obviously the final one, that was already gone before I even got there. So, that's how it goes sometimes. That was obviously a very good opportunity with a parcel of land and the rest of it, and lots of potential, and also potential if you could ever pick up the neighbouring properties, get that kind of monopoly board effect. You've got 3 houses and now you can build hotels type stuff, or blocks of flats or whatever it might be. So yeah, I'm not quite at that stage yet where I can kind of immediately go in and bang and deal with those deals. They're obviously at the top end of my budget, but yeah, we would interesting to see that it went so quick. So I hope you like the video. Please do, if you have any questions at all on any of these sort of deals, or how to source them, how to look at them, how to analyse them, please do comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are, and whilst you're at it, please do hit the notification button, smash the like button, do share the video, try and get it helps it get out to a wider audience, and therefore the video gets more views, and then YouTube kind of pump it a bit further, and hopefully it will help somebody out there. So with that said, if you would like to click on the links below in the description, there are various links to other investment platforms. So for example, Trading 212, if you sign up with them, you can get yourself 1 free stock, and that could be valued up to £100. So effectively it's up to £100 worth of free money for crediting money onto an account with them. And then we've got the same thing with Free Share, but they offer up to £200. Please go check out those links and those apps. And with that said, I will see you next time.